I'm here. This is a new question for me. The other one became moot. But as I'm listening to what you just were saying, Steve, I'm wondering when a new worldview is emerging, how can you tell that it's a new worldview emerging? Could it also be the most recent worldview looking at its own pathologies and directly correcting them?
That is a subtle and very excellent question. So let me compliment you on recognizing that. And we have these debates ourselves, right? So I know folks who are integral in their cognition and know all the philosophy, but they still want to insist that integral is really just mature progressivism. That as progressivism gets more into a more wise version of itself, it'll start to recognize its own pathologies, and this integral is just the capstone of the emergence of the progressive worldview. And if that's what it turns out to be, I'll take it. It's not as if I have perfect knowledge of history or the future, but the reason why I reject that argument personally is that I think that part of what's animating the emergence of this integral worldview, but when I talk to folks who have adopted this cultural center of gravity, all of them are, in a sense, refugees from progressivism. They're sick of the magical thinking of New Age spirituality, or they're sick of the intense militantism, all the grievance without the gratitude, of kind of neo-Marxist politics, or they're business people who may be otherwise thoroughly progressive, but they can't just throw business under the bus and pretend like it's all just greedy capitalism and we need to socialize everything. So there's a lot of people who are emerging into this space who we recognize as folks who share our worldview and who we can immediately find all kinds of affinities with. Is the one thing that we have in common is that we're all pushing off against progressivism. We're all kind of recognizing that dialectical separation. And part of it, there's slow thinking and fast thinking. You may have heard it's kind of popular now. And slow thinking is the cognitive learning of the philosophy and these structures and this evolutionary story. But that's the slow thinking. The fast thinking is just the sense in which you can feel offended by progressivism in a way that a progressive would never be offended, right? You can feel offended by modernity in a way that modernists themselves can't really feel it, and you can also be sympathetic. So it's the dialectical difference, I would say, that distinguishes post-progressivism from progressivism, and because it's a continuation of this pattern of dialectical thesis and antithesis, and because because progressivism is very much in the key of antithesis, and this next worldview is very much in the key of synthesis, those are the main themes, then it's pretty easy to recognize this larger dialectical pattern and thereby claim that this is an authentically new stage. And another argument is that this stage can do what progressivism consistently can't do. Progressivism consistently can't go beyond a very superficial acceptance of the other stages. When it comes down to brass tacks, there's ultimately a negative view. And that's understandable. That's what progressivism is trying to do in history. I'm not trying to diss progressivism for doing that, right? The antithesis is necessary. So it's a strong antithesis, and it's doing its job in history by, calling out the negative externalities that are unsustainable. But I think in order to go to the next step, we have to go beyond the antithesis. And so these are all, at least some of the arguments for why it's a new stage. But I could make more, and I could also accept the fact that I may be wrong about that.